What you know about rolling down in the deep?
12-year-old Mahin was a 7th grade student. She was highly intelligent and kind-hearted. Due to her intelligence, she held a prominent position in her family. In her large household, she lived with her parents and grandmother, along with her 2 uncles and their families. Her cousins, the daughters of her uncles, were also her classmates. Her 14-year-old elder sister, Pakiza, was also in the same class because she had failed due to weak academic performance and had to repeat the 7th grade. Mahin was a good girl. Despite always passing with excellent grades, she never showed arrogance. However, whenever the elders in her family praised her intelligence, she would feel a sense of self-admiration. Yet, she would immediately suppress those feelings and seek forgiveness from Allah, knowing that arrogance was an incurable disease. One morning, when she woke up, her mind automatically drifted to the math test scheduled for that day in class. In their school, weekly tests were conducted, and Mahin always scored higher than her sister and cousins. When the teacher announced the test, Pakiza, Rabia, and Sadia started preparing the very same day. Mahin also practiced several problems, completing her preparation in just one day without any worries. Meanwhile, her sister and cousins continued preparing over the next 5 days at different times. Mahin was confident in herself and certain that she would perform well on the test, just like always, because she had prepared thoroughly. When Rabia and the others sat down to solve math exercises, Mahin would watch TV. They would repeatedly call her for help, asking her to solve questions for them. She would solve the problems and explain them. The next morning, she got ready and walked to school with her sister and cousins, which was just a 10-minute walk away. After the assembly, they went to their shared classroom. The first period was with their class teacher, and the last period, an hour long, was for English. As soon as that period ended, Miss Kausar entered the class with test sheets in her hands. As she entered, she greeted loudly, "Assalamu alaikum." The students respectfully stood up and responded in unison, "Wa alaikum assalam." Miss Kausar asked in her usual authoritative tone, "Children, do you remember that you have a test today?" All the students responded loudly in one voice, "Yes, miss. We remember." "Then take your sheets and pens and come to the gallery," she instructed firmly. The students quickly moved to the gallery and sat in neat rows. Miss Kausar distributed the test sheets, and the test began. All the girls started writing rapidly. Some whispered to each other, while others silently showed their answers. Mahin, however, never asked anyone for answers, even if she didn't know something. She never felt comfortable seeking help. She focused on solving her questions quickly and had almost completed them when Rabia, sitting behind her, kept asking for answers. The teacher noticed and warned Rabia, but she continued asking. Eventually, Miss Kausar moved her to a different seat. "Miss knows that I understand the test while Rabia does not, so she separated her," Mahin thought, unaware of how pride and arrogance had begun to creep into her heart. She solved the second last question and then rechecked the final one, which still didn't seem quite right. She reviewed it carefully, but after finding no apparent mistake, she reassured herself and recited, "Alhamdulillah," before submitting her test sheet. Mahin thought to herself, "Rabia, Sadia, and Pakiza surely wouldn't have performed as well as I did." Once again, pride and arrogance filled her thoughts. Even though she had done well on the test, she felt an unusual unease. After submitting her sheet, she sat at her desk and opened her book. But when she reviewed the questions again, her heart sank. What was this? Out of the 3 long questions, the last 2 were not only solved incorrectly but also had completely wrong answers. How could this happen? As always, she only realized her mistake after submitting her test. Now, she remembered the correct method she should have used, which she had firmly memorized. Just then, Rabia and Sadia entered the class, beaming with joy. They excitedly shared that they had only left the last long question incomplete, but all their other answers were correct. Suddenly, Mahin heard the voice of her conscience. "Look, Mahin, the ones you unconsciously considered less intelligent and incapable have surpassed you today. This is the result of your arrogance. You, who always performed well and confidently solved your test in one go, have lost to those who repeatedly practiced each question. You, who taught them questions with a sense of superiority, have fallen behind the hardworking ones who studied on their own. Her conscience showed her the mirror, and she finally realized that she had been in darkness all along. The only one worthy of pride and self-admiration is Allah. Indeed, only He is all-powerful, the master of the entire universe, undefeatable, free from all flaws, and the creator of all beings. Mahin's conscience guided her to the right path, and for the first time, she truly recognized her mistake.